What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Coming at you with yet again another, well, not another perfume experience, but for today, you guys, we will be talking about how to reduce stress, in particularly using scents. Okay, all of us at some level, at some time during our life, have experienced stress, be it for a short period of time or chronic stress, which is stress that's experienced over a long time frame. Now, stress is basically any time you're experiencing tension or having difficulties arising from certain environmental circumstances. Your ability to handle that stress has to do with two things. One, about 50% of it is genetic disposition. It's basically how anti-fragile and how tolerant you are to stress. And the second aspect of it is what kind of skill sets or coping mechanisms you have in place to endure the stress. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that when we do talk about stress, what constitutes a stressful situation for somebody might not be for another individual. And this is where something, along the lines of stress tolerance and stress threshold comes into place, okay? We all have varying degrees of stress tolerance and thresholds, and that just comes down to the individual. And like I mentioned earlier, a few things come into play: your genetic disposition, the skill sets you have, or the tools you have in your box to deal with stress. But most importantly is the context, being the environment you're in, the circumstances you're dealing with that inflict that level of stress. Now, for this upload, I'm not going to go into a ton of things that you can do to help reduce stress, just because it's not the intent of this upload. But I'll talk with you guys, and especially given the theme of the channel to date, about personally one of the things that I love using to help me take the edge off, reduce my stress, center myself, and that is scents. Okay? In particular, natural base scents or oil-based scents. Okay, so that would be ouds, that would be lavender, that would be sandalwood, etc. Okay, so why do I recommend scents? Scents are very powerful in shaping your perception of things, and because they do shape your perception, they have the capacity and the ability to actually change your mental frame regardless of the context you're in. Now, that does not mean that by any means or stretch of the imagination it will make the context or circumstances better, but momentarily what it will do is it will take your mental frame out of the dark, negative, painful place, alleviate it, and while that does happen momentarily and for a short time frame, it actually gives you that much needed break to recalibrate your mind and go back again into that difficult situation, circumstance, or environment you're in. Okay, so by no means am I saying that scents eliminate stress. There's a reason why the title of the video is reducing stress. It helps you tackle the stress you're dealing with, and that takes place again by changing your mental frame. And you've experienced this in a lot of ways where, let's say for example, you are walking down the street as a guy, and I'm sure a lot of guys will relate to that, and a lady walks by and she has a nice perfume on and it piques your interest in her. You might not necessarily find her visually attractive, but because of the way she smelled, right, you started to find her attractive because the scent for you aroused you. And I don't mean sexual arousal, but as much as aroused your senses, okay? It changed your mental frame, okay? So that's the power of scent. It can make you literally change your mental frame. It can change your perception. it can take you from a bad place and put you in a better place. All right? And again, I'm not saying that a scent or a perfume or an oil is going to do that on its own. However, it's one of the tools you can use to reduce stress. Now, in my case in particular, let's say I had a very stressful day at work. I come back home and I am just mentally drained. And because I'm mentally drained, I don't have the capacity to deal with my stress. I am just tense. I am clenching my teeth. I am anxious. I am irritated. And I just have no will or desire to do anything other than the fact that I just want to sit down and vegetate in front of a TV screen, okay? To numb or avoid my stress rather than face it on, adapt to it, and get on with the rest of my life. So one of the things I do to snap out of that is to play around with scents, okay? For me, scents help put me in moods that fit or suit the profile, I wanna take on that day. So if I'm going, let's say, to strike a business deal or a meeting, I typically want more aggressive masculine scents, something that includes patchouli, vetiver. If I am going out on a date, I like warmer, sweeter scents like iris or amberish scents, okay? And the list can go on. So I use scents to create this profile slash version of me I would like to take to a certain interaction or to a certain context. So I do the same when I want to distress, right? I know for a fact that oils like oud, sandal, and lavender, in my case, help me distress. They help calm me down. They help me relax. They help me release tension. And in doing so, I'm able to return in the moment and focus on what I need to do versus just avoiding life and avoiding wanting to do anything, being vegetative, just lying down and surrendering into the stress that's been induced by my external environment. So what scents allow me to do is to gain my locus of control and internalize it again versus just, for the lack of a better way of putting it, being a victim of the environment, right? So scents help me do that. They help me come back to myself. They help me center myself. They help me ease the tension by bringing delight, okay? And that's the biggest factor here, is that anytime you're experiencing stress, you're dealing with an undelightful and obnoxious circumstance, environment, or situation. So in order to de-stress, you need to move from an undelightful experience to a delightful experience. And in my case, one of the ways I do that is scent. I could be having, a bad day of meetings and I just feel down, depressed, stressed, and just low energy, okay? What I do is I'll grab a bottle of, let's say, oud oil, like this white quinam here, which has meditative facets to it. I'll take a whiff and instantly my spirit is energized, okay? Now, the reason this works for me and might work for you, again, this isn't a prescription or a remedy by any chance, I'm just sharing with you guys what works for me for reducing stress, is that I enjoy oud oils a lot. And because for me, oud is such a positive experience, it helps snap me out of any negative experience I had during the day, including stress. It helps bring me into a more playful place, okay, more fun place, which basically what it does is it energizes me, it puts me in a positive mindset, and by doing that, when I go back to deal with stress, I'm in a much better position in terms of tolerance and threshold handling versus just getting hammered constantly all day with stress and just trying to go take it on again when I have no tools in my box anymore, no energy, no resources, okay? So it helps recharge me, it helps recenter me, it helps reset me back to my factory, original factory setting, if you wish, which is basically being neutral, but also more positive leaning, more relaxed, more receptive to things. Okay? So, with that said, I would recommend that you guys give that a try on a day where you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed, where you feel that you have just reached your limits, where you feel like giving up, where you feel like you're low energy and just lying down and doing nothing or vegetating in front of a TV screen. Just try getting your nose on some scented oil, and it doesn't even have to be a scented oil, some perfume you enjoy, a perfume that no matter how many times you've put on, you always come back to, a perfume that you've put in situations or circumstances or contexts or environments where you had fun, where you enjoyed yourself, a perfume as a scent that reminds you of a happy moment you've had. It will always snap you back out of that sort of stressful, tense energy that has built up in your mind and in your body. Okay? So, highly recommend using different scents, be it in oil form or perfume or even incense, to snap yourself out of any negative, stressful experiences or energies. And it's worked for me. I know it's worked for a lot of people that I speak to. So I'm hoping that this will be helpful for you guys and help you work through, stress. If you live in the modern day and age and you have responsibilities, stress is not something you can escape. So might as well learn to deal with it and become better at handling it rather than just surrendering to it and breaking under its weight. Okay? So you guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here for today. As per usual, very much appreciate your time and attention and hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.